Hey everyone, welcome to the Canine Culture Podcast, where we talk about everything dog. Q&As with veterinarian professionals, rescue operators, everyday topics. We cover everything dog on this podcast. So make sure you subscribe to the Canine Culture Podcast on your favorite podcast platform, and make sure you're following us on social media on both Instagram and Facebook. Thanks again for listening. Now here's that next episode. Hey everyone, welcome to the Canine Culture Podcast. This is your host, Brittany, and today we're joined by Kelly. Kelly is from Tales of the Trail. She's giving shelter dogs a second chance through the outdoors. And Kelly's going to tell us about this program and what she does. And it's just such an amazing opportunity for anyone in Northeast Florida, so I'm excited for her to tell us all about it. So Kelly, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Brittany. Thanks so much for having me. So yeah, Tales of the Trail, we've been around since 2015. So actually April will be our 11th year anniversary. It started out in Nashville, actually. There was a group of people that were going to shelters and they were hiking dogs on a weekly basis. And they said, hey, why don't we turn this into a nonprofit, start raising money, give back to the shelters. So it was kind of random. In 2016, I had started a program when I lived in the Carolinas called Dogs on the Run. Mm-hmm. And she saw that I had posted that. The director, she reached out to me. She's like, hey, would you be interested in this? And I was like, well, sure, I'll talk to you about it. So I had it in the Carolinas from 2016 to 2020. I moved to Amelia Island at that time. And she, obviously the world shut down at that point. So I was getting ready to start my hikes here. And after COVID, she was like, I don't want to do this anymore. So either if you want to take it, that's great. Otherwise, I'm shutting it down. And it was like a no-brainer. I'm like, I will absolutely take it. So I had my first hike here in April of 22. And we did it at Main Beach, which was really fun, having all the dogs out on the beach. But basically what we do is we partner with local shelters, get the dogs out on a monthly basis on a Saturday morning, and we hike them. So we have anywhere from about 8 to 12 dogs. The shelter will bring the dogs to the designated location in Fernandina. We kind of bounce around different places that we go. And I have my volunteers that help me set up. I have a meetup group that people will sign up once I post it, and they will show up and they will hike the dogs. And we bring all the supplies. We've got, leashes, treats, poop bags. We bring everything. All they have to do is show up. We have the route planned, signs, water stations. If it's warm, we'll do a sponge bath, kiddie pool. So it's really, really fun. And one of my most favorite things to talk about is when I did join the board of directors too in 2016. We had 53 adoptions and we're up to 934.
Oh, wow.
So, it really proves that the program works. It exercises the dog, it socializes them, it gets them in their element and just, makes them more adoptable.
Yeah, so you guys are located Fernandina Beach, Amelia Island, Florida, that kind of Northeast Florida area. What shelters do you currently work with?
So we work with the Nassau Humane Society and then the Nassau County Animal Services, so the county shelter, as well as the one that's on the island.
And let's say someone did come out for one of these hikes. Would they be able to adopt a dog that day? Let's say they took one of the dogs on a hike, they fell in love. Is that something they could kind of go through immediately, or are there additional steps that they'd have to go through?
They would have to go to the shelter and fill out the appropriate paperwork and everything. But yeah, I've had people that have come to hikes and immediately go to the shelter and come home with the dog.
That's amazing. And you and I both know, working in shelters, a dog out on a trail hiking and walking is so different than a dog that's in a kennel. And so I don't know if you can think of any stories where you saw a dog present totally different in the kennel versus out on the leash. Have you seen anything?
Absolutely. Just even when the van pulls up, it's just barking, everybody's, getting crazy and everything. And, we have the people, the hikers will come up and get as the volunteers bring the dogs out of the van. It's even when they just get them away from the van, and we have a rule where we have to keep the dogs 10 feet apart. We just want to make sure that,
right.
Just for safety. We don't know, they could be fine, but, that's just the rule. And I also want to say we've never had a single incident. So that's another, with hiking over 5,000 dogs. But yeah, when you get them out there, they just from when they start the hike to the end, they're just like complete different dogs. They start pulling and just rambunctious, and then they just get calm. And, the hikers pet them, give them treats, stop and let them just sniff. Like there's no rush or anything. So it's just amazing to watch the transformation.
And that walking and sniffing is enrichment in and of itself, like that's enrichment that they do not get in the shelters. And I think something a lot of people don't know is shelter dogs, they might get one walk a day, maybe two if it's like a very small shelter, but they're not really getting out. And it's a quick walk. It's a quick, hey, go to the potty. We got to get you right back in, because there's only so many volunteers that can handle it. And so I think this is great. You're helping them with their enrichment. You're helping them get seen for adoptability, helping get them exercise, because these dogs need it and they need to exert some of that energy. So it's just such an amazing program. So
thank you.
Let's talk about your volunteers. So you've got different types of volunteers that are integrated kind of into your program. So tell us like all of the different ways that people can volunteer, whether it's like setting up, whether it's hiking, like what does that look like?
So yeah, I have a core team, but I'm always open to have more people. So like I'll send out an email before, like a couple weeks before the hike. Hey, we're doing it here at this time. Are you available? They'll normally show up about 30 to 45 minutes before the hike starts. We have our table, a sign-in sheet. So there's waivers, sign-in sheet, handing out all of the supplies. Setting up merchandise. We've got a ton of actually, pretty cool merchandise. So we've got a whole bunch of, a whole line of that. But so it's just, and then when the hikers get there, checking them in, taking there, we have a $10 donation that we request, and everybody is pretty generous. Sometimes they give more. Hand out, all of the supplies. When the dogs get there, they'll help to get the dogs out of the van, hand them to the hikers, walk on the route. So we have, there's a hike lead. We have people that are in between walking, and then we have a sweep. And so what they do is just make sure, like, because I have the hikers, they clean up the poop, but, we don't want them to have to carry that. So, we have somebody to sweep that picks all that up, gets the signs. We have, somebody will stand at the table and just monitor it while we're out. So, it really, selling the merchandise. So there's a broad array of things that I need help with. I have adopted a road too. So I've got a Keep Nassau Beautiful. So my road and another adjacent road, we clean that up. So on a quarterly basis. So even look for volunteers for that. So there's definitely a whole lot of things. We do a lot of fundraising events. The Red Dress Run that we just had this past Saturday. We have, we always need raffle prizes, so I have people go out and hop around town, and people are always really generous with that. Administrative things, tracking, the merchandise inventory, financials, which I do have my treasurer for that. But, there's so many different ways that you can volunteer.
And what's the best way for people to go about that if they're interested? Should they go on to Facebook or your website, or what's the best way to get in touch with you to kind of get started?
Yeah, Facebook is definitely the best. I'm having a little glitch right now with my Instagram account. It's there, but I can't connect to it. So really, that way, I do have on the website there is a request information. So I get the emails directly to me, so I can reach out that way. We do have the meetup, but that's primarily for when the hikers, so if you join the meetup group, then the hikers, once we advertise the events, they can sign up that way.
Okay.
But there's many ways to contact me.
Yeah. Okay. So definitely check out Facebook, check out the website. And then you said that it's about once a month. Do you guys have a set cadence? Is it like a second Saturday, or is it a little bit random since you have different routes that you take? Yeah,
it's random. It depends on because I have a full-time job too. I wish this could be my full-time job, but unfortunately it doesn't pay the bills. So I rotate every other month with the shelters. So last Saturday, I did the NHS. So then in April, I'll do the county shelter. So it's kind of random just based on my availability, their availability. But, we really try and, get at least one in a month. And then the summer months, like July, August, September, we normally have to take a break because it gets so hot. Yeah. But we do other fundraising things like dog washes and yappy hours, which we actually have a yappy hour coming up at the Green Turtle on May 9th from 2 to 4. That's our next big one. So, we still want to keep the momentum going. We don't want to just because it's hot, and we can't hike the dogs, and we want to still raise the money for the shelters.
Right. And you have a lot of exposure to these shelters. So beyond adoptions, because not everyone can adopt, or maybe they've already got several dogs, or whatever the case might be, what are some needs that you're seeing from shelters that people can kind of fulfill? How can they help the shelters directly, whether it's in person, or I'm not sure if you can think of any like remote opportunities to help shelters as well?
I mean, there's definitely, and I know it is harder with people getting dogs, but fostering is always just the biggest thing. They get so overwhelmed. Even, they just had a, big adoption at the county shelter a few weeks ago. Actually, both of the shelters, but they just get filled up right away. So with that, fostering is always the biggest thing. But, some people, like, they feel like, I just can't go to the shelter. I can't go.
Yeah,
It's too hard for me.
I hear that so much.
Yes. And I had such good advice when I first started from one of the volunteer coordinators at one of the shelters in South Carolina, because I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. She's like, you just have to tell yourself, like, yes, the dogs need a home, but it's better for them to be there than some of the places that they came from. So, they're getting cared for. They have shelter. They have food. So,
Right.
So that really helped me a lot to be able to at least go there when we had to get the dogs and things like that. Obviously, monetary, that's a big, big thing. They have, I think both of the shelters have an Amazon wish list. So they can, go onto Amazon and say, hey, this is what they need. And, and again, it comes to some of the fundraising events that I do. They do a lot of fundraising events too. At least the NHS does.
Mm-hmm. One of the big ones that I always tell people about is social media. So sharing dogs, whether they share it from your social media or the shelter, that's how I have found 3 of my rescues, was just someone sharing on Facebook. It landed on my page and I said, that's my dog. But that's how I have found mine. And that's honestly, it's how I learn a lot of my information now is social media. Like, we're on there so much and you can get to so many people for free. And so it's really easy to just hit like and to hit share or repost. And so I don't know if people know the power of that, but that's huge. I mean, that's how I found out about your organization, was social media. A couple of posts kind of came up. I'm like, oh, let me take a look. And I looked into it and I was like, oh my gosh, they take shelter dogs on hikes. Like, that's amazing. Like, why aren't we all doing that? Because it gets them exposure and it gets them the exercise. And that's kind of another piece of it, right? Is like getting these dogs that exposure, because if they're just sitting in a shelter, maybe no one ever sees them. Maybe no one's taking photos of them. And so you're giving them that extra step. So it's the people who are on the hike with you. It's people who might pass by you. Maybe it's other people kind of taking a walk or a hike at that same time. And then them kind of sharing the news as well. And you have that table set up. And anytime you have a table set up, people like me are nosy. We're like, what's that? What are you doing?
Especially if there's dog logos on it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we also do like, after the hikes, I do like a spotlight dog of the month or of the hike. So, because some of the dogs that get out there, like, we see it, it's unfortunate, but there's some that are there for so long.
Yeah.
And I have found that by doing that, like, it's crazy to see all the shares when I post that on the Tales of the Trail page, how many people share. And I really, sometimes it still does take a little bit of time, but I agree with you. The power of social media really is so beneficial for these animals.
And another component of that, of getting these dogs out and letting people see them, is you're busting that stereotype of what a shelter dog is, because I think so many people are like, it's a broken dog, it's a bad dog, when 99% of the time the dog ended up there because a human failed them,
Yes.
And
It's really sad. Actually, we are one of the statistics of that 934. We foster failed actually a year ago. Our Lola, her birthday is tomorrow. But when we got her, she had heartworm, and we were just going to foster her for a couple of weeks. And when we got her, she wouldn't even leave between the wall and the bed, and for 2 days. And then she slowly would come out. And if you could, like right now, she's having a ruckus with her brother. But like she is just a different dog. Like watching them just get out and just give them love. And people have got to have patience too. That's the biggest thing.
Oh,
yeah. I hate it when you see a dog at a hike and then they get adopted and then you see them again. You're like, what happened? Well, they were returned. Well, people have got to have patience. We don't have children and then they come out trained and how you want them. You have to teach them and train them and have patience with them. And I wish people would, realize they have to do that with dogs as well.
Yeah, I've seen that whenever we've adopted out shelter dogs and they come back the next day and we're like, why is the dog back? They peed in the floor. And it's
Yes.
like, well,
Yes.
yeah, that's definitely going to happen, Like
Yes.
even my dogs that are trained now that we have a senior in the house using pee pads a little bit more, my dogs are testing the boundaries, right? They're like, oh, I'll pee on this. I'll pee on this. And
Right.
it is what it is. Like
Right.
it's part of owning a pet. And I mean, do I love cleaning up pee? No, but I have to be patient with them because in their mind too, like the expectation changed because it's like, wait, we used to pee outside, but if he's peeing in here, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So for them, it's
exactly.
different.
Yeah.
So for any shelter dog, they don't know, they might not even be potty trained, but even if they are, it's a new house, it's new
Right.
sense.
Yeah.
There's so much, or like people get mad about the barking and it's like, they truly don't know any
They're a
better. And
dog.
you say no, they might not even know what no means, or they're not understanding the no is to the barking.
Right, exactly. It's so true. It's so true. And that's where I think, like after the hikes, like I'm pretty sure that outside of the statistics, the 934, I'm sorry, I just love that number. I'm so proud. I can't wait to hit 1,000. But
Yeah.
I feel like when they get back to the shelter, they're more, adoptable too because they are calmer. They're not barking. They're not,
Right.
going crazy. So I'm pretty sure we've got more statistics than just that.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
that helps them to getting them out into the elements and walking and exercising them. So,
And I want to go back to the volunteer piece because I want to make sure everyone knows how attainable this is. How far or what's the distance of like most hikes and how difficult are they?
they're very easy. We normally do about 1 to 2 miles, depending on the weather and temperature and all that. But and we pair people up. Like I've had a woman. She came out. She was 75 years old, and she would come to so many hikes. She unfortunately moved recently, but we didn't give her the strongest dog out there. So we pair
Right.
people up accordingly. So and it's at your own pace. They normally last. They start about 8 o'clock, and they're it takes about an hour or so. But then they get back, they can socialize more. We do little pup cups and. But it's very leisurely.
Okay. See, that's very easy. It's attainable. Sometimes people hear hike and they get nervous or they get
Yes.
scared, right? And
Yes.
so, breaking that barrier, 1 to 2 miles is totally doable for so many people. And even for a lot of people, that could be the catalyst to you getting out and moving because maybe you don't want to go walk or hike by yourself, but knowing that you're with a group and you've got that support and you're supporting these dogs,
Right.
it's all around good for the people involved and the dogs involved.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And yeah, it's like I said, it's a lot of people that come out too. It's like they can't have a dog. So this is their way to have a dog
Yes.
fix. So that's the other, good thing too for volunteers. I always want to tell people like, we're going to get attached. Well, and that's great if you do, and maybe you can, but
Right.
this is also a way to get your dog fixed without having to go to the shelter and still really help those dogs.
Yeah, that's a great point for anyone that maybe their apartment, they live in an apartment and it's difficult, or they have breed restrictions, or maybe they live in like a multifamily home and there's multiple people, or someone's allergic. That's a great idea for them to come out
Yeah.
and once a month kind of get their fix and to see the dogs and to love on them and help the dogs.
Exactly.
What are some of your biggest challenges that you're facing right now as an organization?
I think, honestly, I really do feel that it is the overcrowding of the shelters, just having so many dogs in there. I know that the county, they just get overloaded because it's not only, and at NHS, they're like on the island, where the county shelter, they're all the way out to Callahan, Hilliard, like they're covering such a huge area. And
Right.
Unfortunately, some of those areas out there, because they are more remote, people just dump dogs.
Yeah.
And that's actually where Lola came from, was Callahan. So, I think that just, people getting them out there to help exercise them, they always need volunteers. They're always, both shelters, just, anytime that somebody can come. And if they do get there and say, hey, I want to walk a dog, somebody can always get a dog and bring it out to them if they just don't want to, go in there, or whatever, or help them, whatever it might be. They don't just
Right.
throw you to the wolves. There's, volunteer training programs, which both shelters are very, very good at that. Monetary, definitely always, needing supplies for the dogs. That's one of the good things. I partner with Red Bones Dog Bakery. The owner is one of my very best friends, but she's always donating food. So, it's having a good partnership like that. Just the other day, she gave me a bunch of food that I brought over yesterday. I'm also on the board of directors for NHS, so I get to see it kind of from both sides. But, just things like that, leashes, that seems to be something that they get good leashes and they disappear. I know it sounds small, but that's obviously a huge part of walking dogs. So, and just, I think education, that's one of the biggest things too. I think people just don't understand, what it takes to get into it, what it takes to even, run a shelter, what it takes, like when they're bringing the dogs in and assessing them. So just, a lot of education.
Mm-hmm. And even with what you do as an organization, I feel like that provides some really helpful education as well, because it's surprising to me how many people don't know how to handle a dog. Or I saw this on Sunday. These people had just bought a harness for their dog. We did a 5K with dogs, and they could not figure out how to get the harness on. And they probably should have tried it at home, but not going to fault them for that.
Right.
But their dog got loose twice. And so even like coming to something like what you're doing, you can observe and be like, oh, that's how it works. Or understanding like the different kind of harnesses or the different kind of leashes. Like even the smallest things that I think you and I just have known for years, some people have no idea. Or learning about dogs sniffing. You would be surprised how many people are like, I didn't know they needed to sniff. I thought they were just being annoying, or I thought they were stalling. And it's like, no, that's their way to see the world. They are taking it all in. They're understanding where they're at. They're learning about their environment. I mean, it's essential to what they do. I mean, dogs, their nose is so much stronger than ours.
Yep. For sure. And also at my hikes, what I do is sometimes when possible, I have some friends that are trainers. No Quarter Canine, I got to give a shout out to them. They also have a nonprofit called Building Battle Buddies. But they will come out and they'll like kind of show like, hey, this is how you like say a dog is really strong and they're not on a harness. This is how you can make a leash into a harness. Some people, to your point too, like they don't know how to wrap the leash around their hand. They just, hold it like this.
Just
And and it's like that they pull once, they see a squirrel, bye. So just even the basics, like wrap it around, hold it here in your hand. So, but so having trainers come out and offer those kinds of things as well. What I would love to do, I used to do this in the Carolinas, and I haven't been able to find anybody here. Is after the hikes, I had a dog massage therapist come out.
Oh, yeah.
And it was the neatest thing watching those dogs go. I mean, even though, like, they've been calm after the hike and everything, or, it's helped. Some of them still could go another 5 miles. But just getting them, the masseuse would, just get the dog to trust him, get him on the table, because, they're kind of, and then just watching them. So that was really cool. So there was a woman I had reached out to here, and unfortunately she was like the next week leaving to go out back to the West Coast. So if anybody out there knows any dog masseuses, I'd love to have them come to a hike.
Funny enough, the episode last week, she's based in the UK, and she was talking about how like essential massages and how great massages for dogs, like just getting them to calm down, regulating their nervous system, getting blood flow, getting lymph flow, like there's just so much. I mean, I have seen massage work better on my dogs sometimes than me. And same with acupuncture, actually. But we won't get into that.
And Reiki. I look into doing dog Reiki too, so yes.
Yeah. There's someone here in Jacksonville, I've seen her post. She does a lot of dog Reiki. I haven't seen her post for a while, but the algorithm's funky. Maybe she still does it. So how can listeners help you and Tales of the Trail? What are the best ways for them to get involved? Anything you can think of. What are all of the different ways?
I mean, like I said, I'm always looking for a volunteer, like people to help me, especially because a lot of times for the hikes, I will have a wait list. Or, unfortunately, I think one hike out of all the ones that I've had, I had everybody show up. There's always no shows. So if I have more volunteers, they're helping me, and it always works out. But people that come and like help me, and even if they're just there on standby, hey, can you walk a dog? Worst case, you just walk along the route with a dog. So I'm always looking, or people get busy. So a lot of times, last week I had 3 of my normal volunteers couldn't come.
Right.
So, I've got regular hikers that come and help. But so I always need help with that. And definitely, just there, like I said, on standby to walk the dogs is one of the big things. And just spreading the word and, letting people know. I haven't expanded yet. I would like to expand, hold on 1 second. No. Sorry, I told you it's bewitching hour. They get to a point where they're like, enough. But I'm sorry, I totally just lost my train of thought after that one.
Expanded. You haven't.
Oh yeah, expanding into. So I was, because obviously I'm one person. So if it's hard for me. Like I looked into doing it in Jacksonville a little bit. There was a girl who she might even still be willing to help me. I would talk to Jack's Humane Society a little bit. But that I wasn't able to just, with my full-time job and everything. It's just, it does take time, but I would love to have this the way in Nashville or Tennessee, they expanded it to the Carolinas and then subsequently to Florida. I would love to expand it more, especially in Florida for starters.
Yeah, absolutely.
We just need someone like me that can do the, we've got the meetup group. They would probably have to, create their own just in the area. Get a following, so build their volunteer team. There's like a starter kit that, I've got a lot of that stuff. So it's a little bit at first, but once you get in the groove, it's really not that hard to get the hikes up and running. So, I mean, it takes a little bit of time, but it's so much fun. I always say it's my favorite day of the month to do that.
Mm-hmm. And we need it in Florida. Our shelters are at 200, 300, 400% capacity.
Yes.
And unfortunately, we have quite a few shelters that are kill shelters, and I hate to use that term, and I'm trying to get away from that term because I don't even want to say it anymore because it's not quite accurate. But we're seeing those euthanasia rates get a little bit higher. We're seeing the days get lessened to make more space, and it's like, and I know that people don't like to see that, but at the same time, the shelters really have no other choice. I mean, for them to keep taking in dogs, they've got to do something to make space, especially when we're 3, 4, 5 dogs to a kennel. And, I'm not going to say any shelters in particular because I absolutely will not badmouth a shelter because they're all doing their absolute best.
Absolutely.
But there's so much that we can do as a community. And so, if this thing could get going, and gosh, if this could get going in every county in Florida, think about how helpful and impactful it would be. And just making people healthier because we're not the healthiest in Florida. Right. It's not that walkable here, right? And so we're not like a lot of our cities, especially in Northeast Florida, we're not like walking to work. We're not walking to dinner where some of the bigger cities, like I'm thinking, down in Miami or Atlanta's a little walkable, New York, those kind of cities. So this truly is taking the best of all worlds and like building a better world for all of us, the dogs and the people.
Exactly. No, I totally agree. And it's just, like I said, it's just so rewarding, and, seeing the dogs, just happy and smiling. And it's just, every hike I say, this is my favorite group of dogs. They're all just so awesome.
Yeah. So Kelly, where can everyone find you on social media and then the website?
So it's Facebook, like I said, our Instagram. We're working on that right now, but it's Tails, and it's TAILS of the Trail. Sometimes just got to make sure people don't spell that wrong. And I have a lot of people, like even some of my regulars are like, call it different names, and I'm like, no, it's Tails of the Trail. So that's our Facebook. The meetup group is Tails of the Trail Fernandina Beach, and then our website is tailsofthetrail.org.
Great. Well, Kelly, thank you so much for what you're doing. I do think this could take off in more counties, in more states.
I would love it.
Yes.
There. Please, anybody that's hearing this, please reach out to me. That is definitely the goal. I want to get that 1,000 adoptions.
Yes, we're going to get there soon.
Yes.
All right, Kelly, thank you so much.
Thank you, Brittany. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you for tuning in to the Canine Culture Podcast. Please make sure you subscribe to the Canine Culture Podcast on your favorite podcast platform, and make sure you're following us on social media. If you have any recommendations, any topics that you'd like to hear, if you know of any guests that would be good for the show, or if you yourself want to be a guest, please reach out to us. Send us an email at canineculturepodcast@gmail.com, or send us a direct message on social media. Thank you for listening, and please share this with any of your dog-loving friends.